Alright, this video is how to assemble your G540 cooling kit. The first thing that you're going to need to do is take your G540 motor controller, which is not included with the kit, and you're going to make sure that you want to hook up all the wires to it that you need, because once we put the kit together, these wires are going to be essentially blocked, and you're going to have to take the plate in the cooler back off to get access. So you want to do this first. After you got that done, the first thing that we're going to do is put our support post on. Now, the kit includes installing on the base G540 itself, and also into cases and into and onto other mounts. So if you have a case, you're going to want to stick this in the case first, and then put this screw all the way through the case, and then put a nut on top to tighten it down. In our case, what we're doing here is on the bottom two nuts, we're going to attach these to these L brackets here, so we can mount them to a shelving unit. So we're just going to screw down T-nuts here. And then we're going to take this whole nut assembly and we're going to slide it onto the G540 mechanism here, and we are going to hold the nut and tighten this down with a flathead screwdriver. Now you can repeat the same on the other four nuts, and pause the video and come back when you've done that. Now when you have that done, set it aside. The next thing that we're going to do is we are going to mount the plate to the fan. So take your cooling plate out of the package, and what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to undo the screws for the fan here, because the plate is the opening of the plate is just slightly smaller than the opening of the fan. So we're going to have to undo the screws and take off the fan in order to fit the plate on. Alright, next you want to slip the plate on. And you want to slip it on so that the wings of the heatsink here are on the broad side of the plate. After you get this on, what we're going to do is we are going to put the fan back on and re-screw it down. After you get the fan screwed down and the plate on, you need to take the G540 and flip it over. The next step is to apply the heatsink compound to the actual heatsink itself. And the heatsink compound is in these two whitish packets. So we are going to take the scissors and snip one open and squeeze it out onto the heatsink itself. And we're going to do the same thing for the other one. Alrighty. After you get the heatsink on, you are going to want to take a piece of metal and spread the heatsink evenly over the thing. Since we don't use these clamps anyways, I like to just take the clamps and just spread the heatsink around here and make sure we get a fairly even coating. The more even that you can get this heatsink compound, the better the thermal transfer is going to be, and the cooler your drive is going to end up running. Alright. Now after we got the heatsink material spread, before we can place it on the G540, we need to put an additional set of nuts on here. Now you just need to crank them down a little bit. What these nuts are going to be used for is they're going to be used mainly to prevent us from over tightening the acrylic plate that holds down the heatsink. So just slide them down. How far they go down isn't important right now. After you get the heatsink in place, we are going to put it onto these bolts and let the heatsink rest against the plate. So if you look here, now you can see that we have the heatsink down, and what we're going to do is we are going to adjust these nuts until we are going to move these nuts up until they properly contact the acrylic hold down plate, but don't lift it. Just like that. Next, we're going to take 4 nuts and we're going to put them on top here. And we are going to tighten them down. Now, after you've tightened down these nuts with a wrench, the last thing to do is check and test the fan and see if it works. So we're going to take our power supply here and we are going to plug it in. There's only one way that it can go, that this connection can go, and then just plug this end into the wall and check to make sure the fan turns. And congratulations, you have completed the G540 kit. This should drop the temperatures on the G540 noticeably.